Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the Clutch Awakening podcast with your host JC. This is a continuation of the last podcast. Not really a continuation, but we talked about in the last episode how rap music is a weapon against the so-called black community. And when you say that, oftentimes people want to say, okay, what about the individuals who rap about, you know, uplifting music, uh, positivity, things of that nature, aka rappers J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. You got to understand in this world that you're going to have these things called controlled oppositions, right? Controlled opposition is somebody who is a part of the establishment, somebody who is a part of the industry. However, he is controlled. He's in controlled opposition. He's going to look like, on the surface level, to seem that, hey, I don't conform to this lifestyle. I don't conform to this to the way that it really is. For example, J. Cole. J. Cole is seen as an individual who is pretty much about a minimalist lifestyle, a self-betterment lifestyle, simplicity. He's that guy who pretty much said, hey, I seen all the sides of the industry. I had the cars, I had the clothes, I had the all this money. However, it was just vanity. It was nothing for me. So now he's living a simple lifestyle, simplicity. And with that being said, there's some truth to that. A lot of that lifestyle, that materialistic lifestyle, you're just gonna end up more vain, more unhappy. However, J. Cole is simply a controlled opposition. And I say that because J. Cole is really a pseudo-intellectual individual. Now, before I get into that, I just want to say I was a big J. Cole fan myself. And oftentimes, I may listen to one of his older songs, but we got to understand that even when listening to those older songs, it is simply nostalgia. It is nostalgia because when you put on that song, you going to remember exactly where you were at that point in time in your life, how it made you feel, positive or negative thoughts. Most oftentimes positive thoughts, because right now, state of the world, people are like, man, I wish things could go back to where they used to be. But his music is simply nostalgia. And you also got to look who's he signed to, what makes him controlled opposition. He's signed to Jay-Z. Jay-Z is one of the he's one of the biggest satanists, in the rap game. And I say that because it's this term called "do what thou wilt," and that term was from an individual named Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley pretty much embodied that philosophy. And if you go look at this image on the internet of Jay-Z, and they did like that video for "Who Gonna Run This Town" with him and Kanye and Rihanna. He had that shirt on, but he had a shirt "do what thou wilt." And that's pretty much, that's their philosophy. They run on those type of things. A lot of these individuals who, people look up to, they have exoteric teachings. They have occult knowledge. And all the occult means is hidden knowledge to the average man. So the average person wouldn't know that, hey, such and such is doing this. One of Beyonce's drummers even came out and said that she is a high witch. People may laugh and mock at that idea. However, these things are, they're real, you know what I'm saying? Like, things that you think are fake, people in these actual positions, they actually believe in these things. That's why they got certain type of success. However, I'm going to go back to control opposition. Like I said, they just somebody who, they're part of the industry. However, they're controlled. And oftentimes in those exoteric teachings and things of that nature, they like to think of this term called duality. And that's what J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar represent. Duality is pretty much darkness and light who exists in contradiction to each other. So you can have a rapper like Future who raps about lean, misogyny, and you have a rapper like Kendrick Lamar who raps about the uplifting and liberation of black folk. That's duality. Two individuals who exist in the same industry, however, they have two different messages in their music. With J. Cole, Lil Durk and J. Cole, you have Lil Durk who raps about drill music. He raps about people he done killed, his ops. You know what I'm saying? He raps about drugs, things of that nature. Or you have J. Cole, like I said, he raps about the simplicity of life. That is duality. Always remember, to control everything at top, you have to divide and conquer at the bottom. Therefore, you use your control opposition, who represent duality, darkness and light. They have to contradict each other. You can't have too much of one thing. That's the whole thing of duality. It comes from Taoism. It's all about balance. Like when Thanos talked about his balance, that movie Marvel. When you start to really wake up and see stuff that's really going on, these folks in these high positions, you gonna start to realize if you, like I said, I ain't trying to step on nobody's toes, but if you are agnostic or you're atheist, I have bad news for you, buddy. Them people at top that you also listen to, they believe in religion. It may not be the Most High. It may not be Jesus, Yahusha. It may be that man name known as Hasatan, but that's neither here nor there. I want to get back to it. I also want to talk about Kendrick Lamar. So Kendrick Lamar, he has this album called To Pimp a Butterfly. And I want to touch on the meaning of a butterfly. So last episode I talked about MK Ultra. Now it's this thing known as Monarch programming. Now you have this thing called a monarch butterfly. And the symbol of the monarch butterfly represents transformation. And those in the high position, they believe that with a butterfly, it starts as a caterpillar and they go through different stages, so different transformations. So once they make it through their final stage, the butterfly, they have peaked. That's all what his whole album was about. The MK Ultra programming of, To Pimp a Butterfly, to pimp Kendrick Lamar. And if you listen to that album and the lyrics, if you just go back and see how he pretty much made the order of the album, he was pretty much revealing things, occult knowledge, hidden knowledge. Kendrick Lamar, his label mate, a former label mate now, because I think he left TDE, Absol. One of his biggest influences was Aleister Crowley. He had an album titled Do What Thou Wilt. That should tell you everything you should know about your boy Kendrick Lamar. But in that To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick got a song. The name of that song is I gotta think. The song is called For Sale. Now in that song For Sale, it's an individual name as Lucy, which is really Lucifer. And in the lyrics, Kendrick raps, Lucy gonna call you even when Lucy know you know your father. I'm Lucy. I loosely heard your prayers on your first album, truly. Lucy don't mind because at the end of the day, you'll pursue me. Lucy go get it. Lucy not timid. Lucy up front. Lucy got paperwork on top of paperwork. I want you to know that Lucy got you. All your life I watch you. And now you all grown up to sign this contract if it's possible. Now, when I was younger, I used to listen to this album all the time. Washing dishes, working out, driving. I used to listen to the album all the time. But like I mentioned last episode, the programming, that beat be so good. You like, man, this Joker spitting. It's like, so you ain't really too much hip to the lyrics. But I want to break down just some stuff what Lucifer pretty much telling Kendrick. Lucy gonna call you even when Lucy know you know your father. When he talking about the Most High Yah. And he said, Lucy, I loosely heard prayers on your first album, truly. On that Kendrick first album, Good Kid, Mad City, he had a lot of prayers in that song. And even they had a prayer, the salvation prayer, where they've given their life to Jesus the Christ. However, you got to understand, when you actually read the scriptures, Hasatan, Lucifer, he also knows the scriptures. When he tempted Jesus in the wilderness, he said, hey, I give you all these things if you would worship me. And that contract, in a sense, where Lucy told Kendrick, hey, and now you all grown up to sign this contract if it's possible. I will give you all these things if you worship me. So you got to understand that even though these people, these individuals, they represent the good and positivity is nothing more than duality, controlled oppositions. That's what Kendrick and Cole are, controlled oppositions, who are not possibly, it is MK Ultra program. And at the same time, we us individuals like us, the listeners, we don't necessarily have to go through the programming. Like we don't actually have to go through those sessions. We're already getting programmed through the music, through what we're being fed, the story of these individuals. That's where I brought up how certain individuals came up, how Cardi B came up. You seen how she went to reality TV to being a rapper. She has a story as, hey, I came from this. I watch, like, you in your mind you think it's organic when it's not, but that's all it is. But yeah, man, it's more than what meets the eye, And the whole point of this podcast is to touch that cognitive dissonance. Now, like I said, a lot of these rappers, I used to listen to them myself. I used to think that, hey, they this and that, and even Kendrick on his last album he released in 2017, he talked about a lot of truths in that album. But you gotta realize these people at top, like I said, they know the truth. However, they choosing a different side to it. So just keep that in mind, man. Just remember. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. This is really like one of the first episodes I did all the way through. Normally I'll be punching in, like when rappers punch in. That's how I do my podcast. I punch in, but I just let it flow. I just let it flow on this episode, off the dome. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hey man, just really think about this, and I'm out.